at all that new stuff. Suppose we should probably talk about it.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome one and all, it's time for another thrilling edition of the Andy and Rem Show, episode 160. And as the thumbnail disappears, if you would like to play Remington Blind Bingo, then you may now. You've got Remington's blinds being open. There you go. You get points this week. Hello.
Hello, Andy. You all right?
Yes.
Great to see you back on the Remington and Andy show once more.
Pretty sure that was the prototype working title when we were thinking about alternating it between our channels, and then we realised that obviously that would be too much work for you.
What's this you got on the screen? Something big is dawning, and it looks like it's 10 months away.
10 days away. So,
Ooh.
they're going to reveal some juicy Age of Sigmar nuggets at that
But
precise
it's only
moment.
it looks like it's only going to be 20 seconds long, and 5 or 6 seconds of that is going to be the logo.
Well, this
So
is
that's-
just a little sneak preview, so let's look at this in silence before we do anything else, shall we?
Ah, okay, yeah, go. Are you going to talk over it, Andy?
I mean, I could, but it's like 10 seconds long. It's a logo
War-
with cogs in the
War-
background.
Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
That's it. So that's the entire page.
Oh.
So if you want to know what's juicy in the next edition of Age of Sigmar, you're going to have to wait 10 days, 22 hours, 44 minutes, and 7, 6, 5 seconds.
Well, something big is not going to be a giant because they've done that. So I'm going to wager that it's 3rd edition Age of Sigmar.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the revelation of the new starter box.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, I don't
So-
see how it could be anything else. What else could
Yeah.
you classify as a new dawn?
Yes. Well, there's going to be more Stormcast, isn't there? Obviously. Annoyingly, for some, for
Well,
most.
there's bound to be Stormcast. There's always Stormcast.
It doesn't have to be, though. Can't it be Cities of Sigmar, versus something else? I don't know. What's the something else?
Well, predict now, everybody, what will feature in this new dawn for the mortal realms. Will it be Stormcast? But what else will be involved? See what people have to say on that.
What do you have to say, Andy? Because will it be the Soul Blight Grave Lords that are they're being put on release already? So probably not those.
I think it's likely to be fancy new Stormcast that we've seen bits of, plus something new and spicy.
Chaos.
I don't know if it'll be Chaos or not.
Well, Colin Mack says undead, but be a bit more specific, my friend. What sort of undead?
We've had multiple undead flavours recently. So I'm not sure it'll be undead again. I think we've got quite enough undead on our plate at the moment.
Exactly. Remember that the 2nd edition was Night Haunt, so that's undead, isn't it? That was the ghosts. The 1st edition was Khorne Bloodbound. Okay, so what's the 3rd one going to be? Are they going to be against more kind of goodies?
We've got a nugget of info here from William.
Oh.
It says, being told it's Cruel Lads Hobgoblin Swamp Race.
I love it.
That would be fun.
I like it a lot. What? A hobgoblin? Colin says Grave Lords. Well, yeah, what would you get in the Grave Lords? You'd probably get rehashes of stuff, wouldn't you? You get some You get some Graveguard probably, but I think they're releasing them already, as we might see in a bit. They're already putting out not Tomb Guards. Is it Tomb Guards? Oh, my head's gone all funny. They're already putting out a bunch of stuff. Start collecting stuff. So I don't know. The Hobgrots, Swamp Goblins, revived Spider Goblins. I love that. We could do the spiders. Are terrible at the minute, aren't they? Not the Arachnorak, but the little ones. They're awful. They need to be redone. So, but do spiders live in swamps?
I'm sure you do get some spiders in swamps just dangling away. Maybe
Well,
not necessarily swimming around. Some
well,
spiders
okay,
are swimming.
let's
Oh,
go
aren't they?
into the bog with this, right? What do we what do you expect? Because hobgoblins, you had hobgoblin wolf riders, you had sort of the sneaky hobgoblin sort of assassiny stabber guys. You had gobbler khans, right? So that was all based on like the Mongol race. So this is swamp beasts. What are you gonna?
Yeah, if they're
What
going to
do
be
you
in the
expect?
swamp, they're bound to have a lot of beasts, aren't they? Things for them to ride on, things for them to push around into battle. Swamps are just hotbeds of monster activity, surely.
Will Matthews, hello, my friend. He says they're meant to look a bit more like Lord of the Ring orcs. Oh, that's gonna suck. That's gonna suck so bad if it's that. I would like them to look a bit goofy myself.
I'd like to reserve judgment until I see them first. So, yeah.
And
I
is
think
reserving judgment. The Witchfinder General is reserving judgment. How odd.
I'm reserving judgment on hobgoblins that look like Lord of the Rings orcs, because I don't know whether that's just one person's opinion who's seen some sneak peeks somewhere.
Well, I don't think we don't usually get more than 3 versions of any one thing, right? So we've got 3 versions of undead now. We've got basically vampire counts, right? We've got Nighthaunt, and we've got the Ossirak Bone Rippers. Have we got 3 versions of orcs and goblins? Well, we've got Gloomsquite Gits, okay. We've got the savage orcs. Can you put them in the same category? Well, you got the bone spitters, right? And then you've got the big yellow orcs with armor on. So that's 3. And elves, well, we've got Cities of Sigmar. We've got
Daughters of Cain
yes, we have, and obviously the tree folk
and
elves,
the Deepkin as well.
and the Ideneth Deepkin, exactly so. And of course the new high elves, right? The Lumineth Realm Lords. So it's not going to be elves, man.
Well, you know what would be really cool though? One thing we don't have 3 of, unless I'm completely overlooking something, we do not have 3 types of dwarves.
No, we don't.
And
Swamp dwarves.
Imagine if they revamped and brought up to speed with the new Mortal Realms, the brand new Chaos Dwarves with hobgoblins, because they've always had an association.
I love it.
That would be cool.
I love that. Yes, that could work. If you back to the goblins or hobgoblins, if you're separating them out, well, there's only one type of goblins now, isn't there? There's Gloomspite Gits, but the hobgoblins would be the bridge between them and orcs, wouldn't they? So I can see it's possible, right? You know,
If it's exciting enough, then we'll assess it and decide whether we need to do like an emergency live stream on the day it comes out or something.
absolutely. But Andy, what if it's not? What if it's something that's already out and it's just like we've got new rules and you get these old figures with some new Sigmarite Marines in this box?
I would be quite disappointed if there's any kind of repackaging of old models, especially with a brand new edition. Surely they wouldn't do that. Surely
So they're
not.
almost obliged to do something new then with the 3rd edition.
I think so.
Interesting. It's just that they brought so much new stuff out already, haven't they?
Yeah, I think if it's a starter box within the same edition like they do now, they'll release multiple starter boxes over the course of the edition, then you can get away with a little bit of repackaging in there. I don't think you can do that for the big new dawn for the Mortal Realms. I don't think people would take kindly to that.
No, and speaking of new stuff, these Soul Blight Gravelords, right? We'll probably find out in a sec, but the Blood Knights are sold out already. And that I checked that yesterday, so they've been sold out within 1 day of being put on pre-order. So maybe they're holding a bunch back, right, to put in this new starter set. That's one theory.
I don't know about that.
So you reckon it's going to be a brand new faction?
I reckon it will be, and the rumours are saying hobgoblins, so why not? Something new and exciting, not too similar to any of the other factions out there, especially if the Stormcast are still in there. You want something different to go with them.
Is it basically one new race a year, or is it 2 new races a year? What have we seen so far?
It's been a bit of a mixed bag, hasn't it? Because obviously things got a little bit crowded when they presumably delayed a few things with the pandemic. But initially it was like a new race, then maybe a book with a new model or something, but here's just kind of the new name for your existing army. Then it was a totally new race, then it was kind of a repackage again, then it was a new race.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm saying new race, but are you counting repackaged? You know, that's a good
I think it's
point.
just a totally new concept, let's say, as an army.
Yeah. Okay, what about this? Swamp goblins, or these cruel lads, as William says, or sky goblins. Like
to do
piratey.
battle with the Caradron overlords.
That would be amazing. And you could you know what I mean? You could bring back the old hatred between the two races, the goblins and the dwarves. Classic.
Well, I would say if you were going to launch sky-based goblins, then you maybe wouldn't want to do it in the kickoff box for the edition, because they obviously want Stormcast in that. But if you were thinking of like a secondary starter box in a year or two for this same edition, then some new Caradron overlords versus some new sky goblins, I could get on board with that.
Now, Andy, a couple of months ago, we had one of our stellar guests on the show from Nottingham, and he owns his own company, doesn't he? His miniature company, right?
Mm.
And one of the races in his company are, in fact, swamp orcs. So do you think he's liable to sue them? Do you think? Is there something there?
I don't know if it's that unique a concept.
I don't know, man.
Well, we'll find out. If it comes out and they've got exactly the same name and they all look the same, then you never know. My doubts.
I mean, swamp orcs are a thing. I'm just looking on. I just literally typed it upon Google, and it looks like there's some kind of swamp orcs are a thing in some games.
I'm not surprised. Now, shall we move on to the next item?
Please.
So, Total War Warhammer 3. So, when I heard about this, I heard they were going to do a gameplay trailer. The first shots of the actual game being played, not just cinematic trailers. And when I found out what the content of it was, I was a little bit concerned. Because it brought back some thoughts of... Have you played the Dawn of War games?
Is that 40k?
Yes.
No.
Okay, well the first two games, wildly popular and successful and considered to be very good in a particular style. Third game kind of changed it into something different, almost a different genre of game. So yeah. It got very, very poor reviews, and the general consensus is that the community do not like it. So when they announced Total War Warhammer 3, we're going to reveal a brand new game mode, which is eerily similar to kind of tower defense type games where you kind of summon in your troops mid-battle.
And it's like waves of attack.
Yes, I was thinking, I'm not sure about kicking off your trailers with that. I'm not sure you want to put that front and center, because that's going to possibly leave a bit of a bad taste if it looks like you're completely changing the gameplay. But during their little press conference / reveal video, then it did become clear that that wasn't what the entire game is. That's just an alternative game mode. So
Yeah.
they haven't completely changed the game, which is what some people would have feared upon hearing that announcement.
Now, straight off the bat, Andy, it's not going to ruin anything to let you know that this centers around Kislev and the 4 Chaos Gods invading the old world, right? And Kislev are the last line. Well, they're actually the first line of defense before they go into the Empire, right? But I was hoping, perhaps you as well, and many fans out there, we would see ogres and we would see Chaos Dwarves.
Well, we don't know that we won't see them.
Because Kislev, they're not a massive part of Warhammer lore.
I think
They're
it's more to do with the fact that they wanted something to play off against the Chaos forces, and they thought, well, who is actually the first line of defense up there?
I mean, if you're going to go
cool with this faction,
yeah, I get that. If you're going to go with the lore and the story, Kislev get utterly obliterated. I mean, there is a great Gotrek and Felix story where Gotrek and Felix find themselves, the dwarf and human hero, the Slayer. He finds himself up there fighting amongst the thick of it, and they do defeat a Chaos Lord up there. But in the macro, Kislev gets absolutely annihilated. But you could say everything gets annihilated, I guess. So there's that as well. But do you think there is really enough interest? I mean, there were Warhammer miniatures, and there was an alternative rule book with Kislev, and of course you had the guy on the bear, didn't you? And you had some Kislev horsemen and archers, and these miniatures, they're quite rare, aren't they? On eBay and stuff, they're still knocking about, but very expensive. But was there enough there to warrant its own faction, right?
Well, I think that first of all, there's going to be a big focus on the Chaos Demons as well, which are quite popular.
Yeah.
Also,
okay,
Kislev, I would assume there's been a lot of liaising with Games Workshop's design people as well, and the fact that Kislev were not exactly leaked, but they were intentionally let slip that Kislev were going to be part of the old world game system. So you would think there's some kind of
so I see what you're getting at. You see, so
some kind of crossover
Warhammer.
there.
So Games Workshop can cash in when they start releasing Warhammer, the old world stuff, just when Total War sort of finishes off, right? Then the old world comes out and they release a bunch of miniatures which could be working for the old world again, like Kislev, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So it could be a sign that they're going to focus miniature lines on those particular alternative human factions. But also, remember, not only do we have other races probably going to pop up in the main game of Total War Warhammer 3, if they're not in there, almost certainly you would see like your Chaos Dwarves and your Ogres as DLC, surely.
Well, I mean, Will, thanks for the comment there. They worked together on design for Kislev and Cathay, and I said I sort of marginalised Kislev, but I mean Kislev appears way more than Cathay, and then why is Cathay even in the mix when you haven't had Ogres and Chaos Dwarves? Crazy, man.
Well, we haven't seen them yet. That doesn't mean they're not already out there.
But Cathay is like further east than where the Ogres are and where the Chaos Dwarves are.
I think we'll just have to wait and see how it all ties together, but I don't think they would end the saga without prominent races like Chaos Dwarves and Ogres being represented. They've had really obscure races, like those undead pirates.
Yeah, that was... I mean, do you think they'll be part of the old world? Maybe, right?
Could well
They'll
be.
come back.
But I definitely think Chaos Dwarves probably resembling the Forge World versions, and the Ogres will certainly be in there.
Right.
I don't see why not.
Well, is this something you'd like to play? I mean, I got into, Total War Warhammer in a massive way. As you know, I've clocked up thousands of hours on Game 1 and Game 2, probably Game 2 even more. Can you see yourself getting into the 3rd edition?
Yes, I think my issue initially was if a lot of it is that survival mode, that kind of tower defense style, then that's not really the game I would want. If it's more actiony and less, because with Total War, I'd prefer probably the relaxation of just the map screen, moving the armies around, managing things. The battles are fun, but you don't always want to fight the battles, do you? Sometimes you want to auto-resolve them. And the map is the addictive part. And the point that it saves at the start of the turn. Is that right? Or it saves, I can't remember what the point at which it saves. It encourages you to do one more thing. And then, oh, it hasn't saved, so I'll have to finish this turn now. It kind of does that to you, doesn't it? It's a one more turn type game.
Oh, without a doubt.
So
Yeah,
that's
without
what
a doubt.
I enjoy. So if it was more actiony, without as much map interaction, that wouldn't have been my thing. But it looks like it's going to be the same with just that extra mode tacked on. So I don't see why I wouldn't be all in on this like I've been for the other two.
But I mean, can you see Kislev going to the sort of Amazonia region, you know, of like the New World? And
Well, I'm sure they would have some kind of bonus for settling in areas where the terrain actually suits them, as most of the races do. Since Warhammer 2, in the first one, you couldn't even settle in certain areas with particular races, could you?
no, how do you feel about the unit roster then? Because
Well,
in this clip you see a bunch of stuff, don't you?
let's have a look at some stuff. So we've got a bear pulling a mortar. As soon as people saw that, I was watching the live chat when they did their reveal trailer, and everyone was saying, like, bear pulling a mortar into battle, take my money, kind of comments. Like, you can't really say no to that, can you?
No. So we've got Little Grom here, fondly named. It's like the big gun, like a big Turkish gun, really, from the Middle Ages. Or you could say it's like a big ogre siege weapon.
And we've got the massive elemental bears.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. That's something I've never heard of before, but like, there you go.
I'd
I
be
guess
really
they
interested
need.
to see that in model form. That's going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah,
A big giant like ice bear with bits of tree coming out of it. I think the design studio for the actual miniature of that is going to create something pretty spectacular. I'm looking forward to seeing it. When the model of that eventually pops up, I want to do the 360 on there for good luck. Very interesting though. And we did see quite a bit of the actual fighting action as well.
yes, we did.
In the gameplay trailer, you saw a lot of the spells being used. And
Yeah,
it took a little bit off because it was all the survival mode. So it was kind of like these waves of faceless demons just being mowed down mercilessly.
yeah. I thought that in the trailer at least, the corn demons did look a bit characterless, didn't they? I suppose, but yeah, we didn't really see close up. We saw the greater demon. We saw some hounds. We saw a load of bloodletters, and we saw a load of. They looked like Chaos Chosen, didn't they? But we also saw the Tsarina, and she looks wicked, and the Ice Guard, who are the sort of elite troops of Kislev. And they seem to have a bonus against large.
Yes.
A lot of ranged attack going on in the Kislev army, as you'd expect, because they're a defensive force, aren't they?
Got some comments. Authentics Studios says, not sure I want to complete it all again. Lol. So there is a point there that when you get to the third game in the series, you've already, I would assume everyone that's really into the game has already played the version where you're trying to take over literally the entire world that's available to you, which is vast and takes a very, very, very long time, like twice as long as playing the original game.
There is a curve, though, isn't there, Andy, where it's like you know you're going to do it at some
Eventually,
point.
you get to the
It's
mopping
so
up
powerful.
phase because
Yeah.
you're so much stronger than the factions that are left. The only thing you have to worry about really are the annoying, like, rebel factions and whatnot that'll pop up in your territory if you don't leave troops there.
Sure. I mean, I've played every race now. The ones that I haven't completed the whole game on are The Ratmen. I've not even played the Ratmen. Yeah, that's the one that I've not played Skaven yet. They're supposed to be really fun to play, but that's the only race I've not played. Have you tried that? Have you tried the Skaven yet?
I have not. I've been irritated by them a great many times, being ambushed in position that I didn't think I could be ambushed.
That's right.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And then in the actual battles themselves, they have so many of those troops that can shoot you and then run away faster than the dwarves.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting. It's exciting because even as a child, for many years, even into many years of adulthood, I wanted a video game that would emulate a Warhammer Fantasy Battle. That would be really, really amazing. And Warhammer Total War gave us that. Do you think it took away business from Games Workshop, Andy?
I don't see how. I think anyone that had the itch to play a game like Warhammer on a grand scale like that, and Games Workshop weren't even peddling that at the time that it was released, really. They'd moved on to Age of Sigmar by then. I don't think there's been much of a competition between them.
This might be a good point to show the Games Workshop share price.
Oh, well, let's see. Well, that's a fancy looking screenshot there. Have you got an update to the app or something?
No, I just showed you more of it, really.
It's got a bit of a gradient going on now. I don't remember having that.
Well, this is a 3-month chart. And you can see that anyone would
in
see
fact, before you start talking, hold on.
Oh.
Here we go.
Remington's Millions.
There we go. Remington's Millions. You may now talk.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone that can see a chart like that can see that we are on an upward trend, aren't we? And the dotted line at the bottom is where myself, Remington, millionaire investor, bought 0.1 shares of Games Workshop. And I'm currently 20% up on my investment there. That's looking good. We're at £111.30 a share, and its all-time high was something like 117. So bear in mind, this time last year, it was more than half price. So interesting times. Games Workshop stock is rising.
Something else that's kind of interesting, but probably not that interesting to us. So this Sister of Battle machine here, apparently it's got stats now which don't mean much to us. Yeah, let's scroll down and have a look.
Weapon skill 2, that doesn't look very good. Wow, who's doing her haircut? It's
2
awful.
plus, not 2. So that's good.
Anyone from England that may have seen the chief inspector from the Metropolitan Police or Scotland Yard, she's got exactly the same haircut.
It's like a original Blackadder kind of haircut, isn't it?
It is really, isn't it? I mean, they're not very vain, but their pageantry is phenomenal on this whole faction. And that looked very uncomfortable. That is not good for her back, what she's got on her shoulders there. I can tell you that for nothing.
Well, yeah, we can't say too much more about that. Next. So, they have this article on Warhammer Community trying to make you lean in towards Neferata instead of Manfred, apparently. So, the idea of having an article like that suggests to you that most people end up with Manfred. And they want to counterbalance that a bit, or maybe they see that Neferata isn't used very much.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it makes no odds because they're in the same box when you buy them, aren't they? It's a multi-part kit. The Mortarks of Nagash can either be built with Neferata, Manfred, or Arkan the Black. But yeah. I don't know. I'd be tempted if I was going to have a faction like this. I'd be tempted to use her for sure.
I mean, we can't really delve too much into the content of this article because we are now waiting on the new edition before we delve too much into the rules. I think second edition, it didn't entirely pass us by rules-wise, but for the most part it has, especially the pandemic didn't help with that as well. So I'm sure as soon as the new edition hits, we're going to be all over it because, barring any pandemic-based disasters, and gaming should definitely be a thing when that is.
Yeah.
In fact,
I
I've
am
heard that
temp-
Warhammer World is close to opening up a bit more as well.
Well, it ought to be really. There's only, by the last report, there's only 1,000 people in the whole country now hospitalised with the COVID, and with the new variant, I think, if I'm not mistaken, people that have had the vaccine are far less likely to contract it.
Have you had any vaccination yet?
I've had the first one. I'm waiting on the second one.
Being
But
a
Don't
youth...
tell my brother that though, because he'll go mental if he finds out I've had the vaccine.
Oh no.
He's very anti. What about you, Andy?
I haven't been invited for mine yet. That's because I'm so youthful and healthy. But I don't
That
think it's
must
going to be
be
long
really.
now, actually. I think it's very close to people in my age bracket.
Well, yeah, make sure you haven't got any appointments the night and the day after, because you may well feel awful for a day.
Well, shall see. Okay, so there's that. Next. Okay, this is a new lot of Bone Reapers for Underworlds. And I know you don't like Bone Reapers.
Yeah,
And
they're
some of these I'm not that keen on, actually.
it's like Meccano, isn't it? They're like Meccano. You
you
remember
like-
Meccano?
I remember that. Do you like any of these models?
Look, I've not painted one. I've not put one together, so I can't be too judgmental. Are they better than Tomb Kings? Maybe, but
The one I
Hmm.
like, because they have this kind of stout skeletal frame, which not everyone is a fan of, I like this one in the bottom left here because it looks kind of like an undead dwarf. And it makes me think if they just make a race of undead dwarves instead, that would have been far cooler.
yeah, they are like pumped up skeletons, aren't they? Because the skeletons would be a lot thinner. So that's one thing I've noticed. They're more human skeletons, if that's possible. They're more fleshy, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm sure the story is something like they're crafted from bones rather than just skeletons.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Vaglim, have I pronounced that right in Russian? Or Mrs.? I did this before, and forgive me, my Russian's very poor. They're saying this is a very big warband for Underworlds, and they'd be correct because look, you get six miniatures and one biggie, and with the Soul Blight Grave Lords Underworlds box, you only get 4 miniatures, and that's sold out, by the way. What
Yeah,
do you
that is
think?
weird. They look like they'd be ultimate killing machines, especially that big one in the middle there. How many goblins do you get in the box?
You get 9, including the squigs.
And then with Stormcast, you only tend to get like 3 or 4, don't you?
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, so
Um,
they must be far weaker than them.
Yeah, but with the Sea Elves one, oh, do you know, I keep forgetting their names. Why do they have to have such long names for these new factions,
Deepkin.
right? Yeah. Why don't they just call them the Deepkin? Why do they call the Ardeneth Deepkin? Anyway, the Deepkin, you only get 3 miniatures, I think. 3 miniatures and two fishes. I'm not mistaken.
Now, on the subject of Underworlds, it is a game that we've been looking into around these parts as something to potentially get into. But the word that came back from Twitter is that it's a bit too must keep buying to stay competitive kind of game, and that Warcry might be a better option. So more research is going to have to be done before any decisions are made on that.
Right.
You need one kind of smaller GW game that can be played.
Yeah,
Just
I
pop
think.
into Warhammer World, have a quick game.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Or we have one big tabletop game and then one small skirmish game.
So we're also looking at some non-GW games as well. So,
Are we?
yep, I'm looking on your behalf, and I'll tell you which ones are good. So,
Will recommends Warcry. I'm up for Warcry. I've got the Shadow Warband.
yeah, and a lot of the models are compatible with just regular Age of Sigmar, aren't they? So,
Yeah.
be worth a go. The starter box is quite expensive for Warcry, but you do get a lot more in it yeah, a vast amount of terrain as well. And I'm not sure whether they just sell the rulebook. I haven't looked that far into it yet. But we're
Right.
definitely exploring those options at the moment, especially as gaming opens up.
I love the fact that Warcry and Underworlds, they are, you can use that stuff in Age of Sigmar as well. So it's kind of cool, right? And a great little starter, testing the waters. If you just like the miniatures to paint, you're not having to spend a fortune, are you?
I did watch on the Warhammer TV YouTube channel, I did watch the How to Play Underworlds video. And it was actually pretty good. But the problem is, just hearing the gameplay mechanics doesn't give you an idea of what's good in the game and whether you have to keep spending to keep up, which is what people are saying about it. The mechanics sounded fine, though. So I'm not going to totally rule it out at this stage. Still doing further research.
It just
on the
seems like
agenda.
stuff keeps getting sold out. They're bringing out so much stuff that I guess they must just do limited supply. They just can't handle having so much variety of stuff, right?
Colin says picked up Vanguard from Mantic. Yeah, Vanguard, Kings of War Vanguard. It's not my favourite Mantic game, but it's alright. I think that is one game that will get much better when it has another edition.
You see,
It's currently in first edition at the moment.
We've got this Vanguard, and then we've not even mentioned Necromunda, and you made me paint a warband.
Well, I half
Necromunda,
painted a
and then
warband, and then we realised the rulebooks were impenetrable. So that was unfortunate that we've had to abandon the Necromunda project. Miniatures are still nice, though.
Well, whatever. I've got to get you back into that. I mean, we need to get boards for this stuff, don't we?
Well, if we go into
Yeah.
Warcry, I've got a lot of the Age of Sigmar ruins already painted, so
Yeah,
I'm sure they're fully compatible with it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's some cards here, and we don't know what any of it means, really. So, next, what's this? We already looked at him. Yeah, I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah, he's wicked.
Okay.
Definitely convert him to a orc shaman.
Are you ready for some Kings of War goodness now?
Okay, go on.
So, new stuff. First of all, there is League of Infamy, which is their dungeon crawler game where you play the villains rather than heroes. So you're like treacherous pirates and baddies traipsing around, taking out like noble elves and stealing from them and whatnot.
Yeah.
So there's that's out there. And let's see if they've got a gallery of pictures for it. They better do. Why is this going to be exciting?
So is this out already?
Well, let's see. Pre-order starts shipping 24th of May. So I don't think they've got the actual pictures of it on this page. But some of the miniatures, very, very nice. They've got a little abyssal dwarf with 2 pistols there. Very
Nice.
cool. In miniature form, he does look very nice. I've seen pictures. And then we've also got, notably, Elf Draken Riders Regiment, which they ride on like smaller versions of dragons. So they're like a large infantry kind of dragon rather than the huge ones.
Now those wings, especially the middle one, look just like the orc wyvern that you used to get from Games Workshop.
You know what immediately stands out to people about this kit is that, look at them, they're designed so that even though they've got big wings, they rank up perfectly next to each other.
That's very nice. What's riding them then? What are those?
Those
creatures?
are elves. So
Well,
they
never been-
used to have Draken Rider models, but they looked like they'd been run over by a steamroller from side on, because they were almost completely flat and they were really ancient, and I don't think Mantic were very proud of them. So
Looks
it's
a bit
about time the
chubby.
new ones come out.
It's a very chubby elf on the right, isn't it?
And it's heavily armoured.
Hmm.
So very nice models there. Let's see how much they are. So $39.99 for 3. There they are on a battlefield. There's a nice bigger picture for you there. I do think they are very cool.
Yeah,
But it's about time the Mantic elves got something new and spicy, because
Yeah, the
not-
dragons look ace.
they're not one of the more exciting races models wise in Kings of War. till now, perhaps. Then I think we've seen this Ratkin stuff, the mutant rat fiend,
Yeah, that's
Death
amazing.
Engine, but we haven't looked at the greater air elemental yet. Gallery. So there it is. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's not a design of air elemental that I've seen. I can't think of another one where it's kind of like a whirlwind, but the mouth is the top of it. I don't think I've seen that represented before. Obviously, when you're just doing an air elemental, there's only so many ways you can make it original. Whether you stick like branches in it or something. But that is a pretty cool one, if you ask me. Anything else on here? They've got some new terrain stuff. Bathroom accessories. Looks kind of like doll's house stuff there when it's painted. Graveyard. More furniture.
Now, Andy, didn't you go along to Mantic Studios recently? Are they fully open? What's happening there?
Mantic, I believe the recent announcement from Mantic is that they are close, perhaps, to having some kind of gaming going on at their HQ soon. I believe their shop is actually open, but I'm not sure what times. So people would have to check their website on that. But I'm pretty sure they're somewhat operational now, because things are opening up. Even like cafes and that kind of thing are opening now, aren't they?
Now, is it far from Warhammer World, Mantic HQ?
Mantic's kind of on the outskirts of the city, I think. And Warhammer World is pretty close to the centre. So it's not outrageously close.
Oh, yeah.
If you're within striking distance of Nottingham and you've got a day to spare and things are actually open, then you can pretty much just drive around and visit all the major wargaming companies.
Yeah, and you got Warlord Games too, and you got Bad Squiddo. I mean, do these all have like shops then?
Not all of them. I know Bad Squiddo don't have an on-site shop.
Right.
But lots of them do. Mantic do, Warlord do. Obviously, there's Warhammer World with its big shop. I'm not sure about all the other companies in the region. There's a lot of smaller ones as well that probably don't have a shop.
Yeah. There's something, I've been to Warhammer World, I think two times since the lockdown, and it's really weird. It's been really weird during the lockdown, because of course all the gaming tables, the big hall and Bugman's bar has been like closed basically, and it's really strange. And also, where you can, look at all the models past as well. So it's really strange. It's you don't really get the full experience. So I hope people come streaming back now. It looks like this lockdown's finally over soon.
It's looking promising. It has been unusual, yes, going into Warhammer World. Before, obviously, it was more a case of pushing through the crowds of admiring people who were just in awe of our celebrity status. But now most of those people aren't going out at the same time as everyone else. So it's much smaller crowds. Much fewer autograph hunters, clearly. And we're wearing masks as well, so we're not going to be recognised quite so readily.
Now, on a negative point, are we likely to see prices go up? Because what we've not talked about is inflation, which has been creeping in big time, because governments around the world have been handing out free money to people, right? Stimulus checks and whatnot. And I noticed when they showed the Gravelords, £36 for 10 skeletons, is it? £34 for 10 zombies, or maybe it might have been 20 zombies, but I don't know. I think the prices are going up to the levels of the Lumineth Realm Lords now for new stuff.
I don't think there's a vast correlation between what goes on in the world and particularly Games Workshop's prices, to be honest. I think they slowly creep up regardless. And I haven't noticed a massive increase from other companies. But any that are putting up their prices, I would put it down more possibly to things like Brexit going on that affect the export business and so on.
Yeah. That sucks, man.
It's worth keeping an eye on, though, prices that various companies are charging and what their kind of free worldwide shipping thresholds are and what kind of deals they put on to make it more enticing for people from other countries to order from them, who obviously have legitimate concerns about being slapped with giant import fees when they're placing orders.
And one thing we've got to remember, I suppose, those long beards amongst us will know that Games Workshop never used to do deals on anything. Like, it wasn't until
in the
Age of
90s
Sigmar.
they did.
They did. Well, Age of Sigmar started, you started having start collecting sets, didn't you? Where you got a discount, you got big battle boxes, where the individual model prices were heavily discounted compared to buying them separately.
It was kind of the dark ages of GW deals, because in the mid-90s you had, I remember there were a lot of buy 3 boxes, get the cheapest one free deals going on. I remember they had the skulls promotion where you get your little skull stickers and put them in your book, and then when you've got enough you get some free stuff. They had a lot of that going on in the 90s, and then there was that dark period of about 15 years or so where they didn't do much promotion and they weren't really interacting with the community.
And the problem was that in those years, it really became mass battles. So to field a force, to play the game properly, you needed a massive army, hundreds of models, right? So it became very, very elitist.
Skulls was 2000s, Colin says. Yeah, Skulls was after. Skulls was definitely around kind of the turn, the century/millennium. But late 90s, I remember going in, buying my first Orc boxes and getting some free ones with the buy 3, cheapest one free deal. That's when I got my old Marauder Giant, the Wyvern with plastic wings, that one, several boxes of Orcs and Goblins, Snotling Pumpwagon, Spider Riders, all that good stuff. I think it must have been after my birthday or Christmas or something. And I looked at the shelves and thought, oh, this is a pretty sweet deal. And I probably ended up spending more money than I was initially going to because they had that deal on. But I ended up getting a ton. I don't have any of that stuff now, sadly. I'd like to have a Marauder Giant now. Sure, it wouldn't be that difficult to find one.
He's got a basin haircut as well, hasn't he? As well as the Sororitas Maiden. What's her face? Patron Maiden. Madam.
Shall we have a look at some community miniatures here?
Yeah.
So this is from Cedar. And these are all from the Discord server, by the way, so I'm going to be using people's Discord username.
Cool.
And
what are they?
It's some people on horses. I don't know what range they're from.
Oh, 18th century, wouldn't you say? 18th century highwaymen. Colonial British. Yeah.
Nice wide face on that horse there.
Yeah,
Next.
quite terrifying.
This is from Darb.
Oh, wow. So this is the Beastman Underworlds box.
Yes.
This looks wicked, man. Really well presented there. Makes me nostalgic for when I had a Beastman army.
There's almost an Andy the Ungor there.
Ah, and they look nice. Very, very trustworthy and friendly bunch, these guys.
Very nice indeed. And then another one from the same person. Another warband.
Oh, so this is what you get in the sort of second edition of Underworld's box set, isn't it? You got the Beastman versus the what they're called? Kindred.
Sylvan something.
No, the sort of elves and animals mixed. Someone help us out in the chat.
Sure. Someone will know.
These are great paint job though. Wow, it looks if Mr. Khan has been using my very popular and world-renowned dusting technique on these. I would wager that. Yes, Kernoffi. Thanks, Will. Can't we see a whole race of these Kernoffi? They've just teased us, haven't they?
Well, they've done that with a few of these little warbands, haven't they? Oh, these skeletons are from Salty, as the person is named on Discord. And these, to me, look like the Rune Wars skeletons, which is the game that's been discontinued. So, of course, everywhere is selling it heavily discounted. There are actually quite a lot of them available on badsquiddogames.com at the moment at a discounted price.
Nice. These could pass for Ossiarch Bone Reapers, couldn't they?
Yeah, these are... They're a little less chunky than the Bone Reapers, but a little more believable looking as skeletons. They are pretty cool models.
Nice. We've got awesome community.
During the big Rune Wars sell-off at the world, then I did pick up a couple of things, which you may see eventually if I do something with them. I didn't buy 100 boxes though, like some people did in the community. I saw in the Kings of War community someone bought a lot of stuff and got it painted very fast, but I just got a few things, a few little bits that I might want to use in the future. Okay, let's go back to, let's have a nice looking picture, there we go. So, I think we should do, how about this? Get your hot tip ready for this week, because it's time for...
Remington's hot tip. Ooh.
Remington's hot tip, there you go, deliver. Quick, concise, hot, spicy tip, delivered to the masses. Go.
Oh God, I don't have one. Okay,
do.
a hot tip. Oh Jesus Christ! You caught me completely unawares there, Andy.
Well, that's the idea. We've got to keep you on your toes.
Well, I don't know. I was gonna say, where does the time go? As you get older, time flies, doesn't it? And you have less time for your hobby. So how do you create more time for your hobby? Well, passive income. It's the only way. Either retire or work less or don't start a family. But if you work less, you can't survive as well, can you?
So, Remington's humble opinion, the hot tip for this week is to become a leech on society.
No, well, that some people might want to do that, I suppose. Not me.
Become a good old societal leech. Like,
no, well,
become a landlord. You don't have to do anything. You just sit back. Yes. Cash flows towards you. That's Remington's tip, is it?
Cash flow is the hot tip. How can you generate free cash flow? Because free cash flow, and not the money's the be all and end all, it's not at all. But if you've got free cash flow, it can buy you time. And time is the most precious thing on earth, isn't it? Time is the one thing you can't get back. You can lose love, Andy. We've all lost love in life. But you can find it again, hopefully.
But you can never find money again. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, but you can't find time again. So time is the most important thing. So how do you create more time? Well, you have to generate cash flow, I suppose, so you don't have to work as much. Unless you've got a job you love, and that's different. All right. But create more time, and then you got more time for your hobby.
If you're not careful, I'm going to rename this segment Remington's Capitalism Corner.
Well, yeah, you could say that, I suppose. But I went to visit my sister in Bali a year and a half ago, and island life, man, it's the way forward. Island life, sunshine, fresh air, sea. You don't need to work like a dog. Just enjoy nature.
Well, there you go. That was the hot tip. Okay, now I don't know if we're going to have time to continue Forest of Rem this week, because I know there's a rather large and important sports event that you'll be keen to get your eyeballs on shortly.
Andy.
After the triumph of the weekend.
Both our teams are currently the two best teams in the Premier League, in the greatest football league in the world. Andy, his Man City team is currently Premier League champions, but
scooping up trophies.
Leicester City, the underdogs, right? The cities of Sigmar, if you like, the ones with no cash, all right, but they've got a loyal follower. They've got their band of brothers have just won the FA Cup, the greatest cup competition in the world, for the first ever time with a mighty goal. So they've got a couple of games left and they're fighting for a position in the Champions League now. So there you go.
I can tell everyone that the Forest of Rem will be back probably next week, and I am working on guests for this show again. There is one that's been lined up for a while, but I'm just waiting for a response on the exact week that they want to be on. So I can't reveal that to the audience just yet, but it is in the pipeline. So don't you worry about that. However, we do have time, of course. As we start to close the show, before that, we have time for, let's see, Steve. It's in here somewhere. Oh, there we go.
Oh, Andy, you didn't
Look
show
at
my
that.
picture. The picture I sent you is not being displayed.
Which picture's that? You sent me
one
the stock price.
No, I sent you a picture of my latest Cursed City paint job. I've
Did you
painted two miniatures from Cursed City now. Only another 50 to go or so.
Okay, you know what? Let's bring up technical difficulties and I will quickly grab that. Because obviously, I don't want people to see while I'm rearranging the screen.
I found this awesome channel on painting models.
Right, there we go. You can look at
it's
the
great.
Remington miniatures there while we've got Steam on the screen ready for the deep bath.
Oh, what do you think, Andy? Don't they look nice?
They do, actually. Although those long beards did encourage me to kind of trim mine down a bit and go for kind of style over substance. Get more of like a nice shape going on rather than it being all long and straggly like some kind of cursed ogre.
Yeah, it was going through that middle stage where you have to really keep it going for another 6 months to a year to make it really flowing. It's so hard to do, isn't it? But you've got that nice sculpted look, Andy. You're very sort of dashing. In fact, someone in the comments mentioned you look like the guy from Game of Thrones who chops off the guy's hand. I think I can't remember the character's name, but he does get eaten by zombies. If that's any relief to you.
I was told recently that I resemble Jesus as well.
Oh, that's nice.
So obviously not the like legit, slightly more tanned Jesus. We're talking about the heavily westernized version of Jesus.
That's nice. So what do you think of my paint jobs? They're amazing, right?
I think it's pretty sweet. I can see some highlighting going on there on the coats.
Yeah, do you know, I want to learn to use an airbrush, and I want to do the sort of that white spray you do for light sourcing. That would be pretty cool. I watched this video. This guy just made it look so easy. And they also use oil paints. I might think I've got a bunch of oil paints. I might have a go. But yeah, these look all right, don't they? Not bad.
They do. How long before you got the full set done?
Oh, it's going to take me all year. I won't lie to you. There's so many models, man.
Are you ready to relax?
Yep.
Okay, everybody. Get yourselves ready. Sit back. You want to close your eyes because it's time for
Andy's Deep Bath.
So sit back, take some deep breaths, and relax. As you are seated in one corner of this giant deep bath, most likely you're in the peasant section though. See, there's a rope down the centre of the deep bath, which is being guarded by a couple of burly gentlemen leading to the VIP section of the deep bath. And in that section, see the following people who have flashed their patron badges to show that they are sizable contributors to this channel. You can see the following people as they enter the VIP section, which has a luxury, like champagne shelves separating each person's seat within the. The following people are there. We have Cedar, Sushi, Kim, John, Graham, Nippleless, Eric, Brad, Barbara, and Guy. All of them being hand-served snacks, delicacies from around the world as they relax around the deep bath. And as you relax, but not quite as much as them. Obviously, they're in. But some bubbles come up around you. And each one of them is a flash of inspiration. It's beamed into your mind. by the power of suggestion, want to reach, look these bubbles, to me on Twitter, you want to join the Discord and Facebook. Want to send me all, subscribe, you want to allow notifications from this channel. Years ago. Then there's a little puddle of like scum water next to the deep bath, and in there's the blurry logo of Remington Steele's channel, encouraging you to perhaps, if you really want to, you can subscribe. With that we saw that puddle and it's killed the mood a little bit. We decide it's time to get off the... Everybody out. Back in the room.
That's funny, Andy. I have 665 subscribers to my channel. I've lost one subscriber.
Well, it's good, really, because I'm pretty sure Satan was honing in on your channel at that number.
If any of you guys want to check out my channel, it's funny because the viewership always goes down during the deep bath section, Andy. I was watching it in real time, going down from, 25 viewers to 17. This show is just killing it at the minute. Literally.
Anyway. Oh, by the way, I've noticed that I'm starting to call you Rem Lad now, after the character in Forest of Rem. What do you think about that?
I don't like it.
It's the name that you would be given if you were like the cabin boy on a pirate ship, isn't it?
I'm not Rem Lad, I'm Remington. Remington Steele. I'm not a lad anymore, man. I'm like the oldest. Well, one of the oldest in this whole community, probably. Right?
I'm sure there's a few people in there that would dispute that.
Do you think? Well, that's a relief then.
A couple of the older generation that watch this show, I know for a fact.
I'm definitely more of a long beard than a short beard in age. Give you that much.
To specify it in age, because obviously your beard length isn't that impressive, really. Okay, I think it's time to wrap this one up so Remington can go and enjoy his sporting goodness. See if Leicester can annihilate Chelsea yet again. And if you wouldn't mind, like, helping a few of the Chelsea players, like, get little hamstring injuries to keep them out for 3 weeks or something so they miss the Champions League final as well, that'd be nice. Don't want to break any legs, don't want to really hurt anyone. Just something minor. Sounds good? I'm sure you can pass that on to the Leicester team that you're in contact with, being one of the A-list Leicester celebrities.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Okay, it's time to wrap this one up. Don't forget to tune in next week. And we don't even have a What the Hell Is That segment because nobody successfully guessed this week's video, which went
That
up.
was cool. It was a cool video, Andy. You put that up out of the blue, didn't you? But you can watch
Yes.
it any time.
I'm going to be doing
cool
one of
idea.
those every week. So when someone finally guesses it, and I have decided that at the end of the month, everyone who successfully guesses one of the What the Hell Is That videos will be put into a draw, and one of those people will win a prize. There you go. So if you win multiple times, then of course you've got more chances to win that prize. So check out the What the Hell Is That video from a few days ago and see if you can identify the 4 miniatures within it. And in fact, I'm going to give you an exclusive clue now on the show. The clue is that the 4 miniatures are all from different Grand Alliances. There you go, go and check that out. And don't forget to like the video, of course, if you haven't already. And Mr. Remington, would you like to say farewell to the wonderful audience?
Farewell to the wonderful audience. Thanks for watching and see you again next week.
What remains to be said now is, good night out there. Whatever you...
It's the Andy and Remington Steele show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steele show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer